to the Goody Room, your one-stop shop for everything movies, TV, and more. We know you want the goodies. Welcome back to the Goody Room. I'm Matt the Nachos, your host. With me always is my man in the chair, Frankie Rock. What's up, Frank?
Not much. What's up with you?
Just, living the dream. I know we got a full show here today. We're going to talk a few things. We're going to talk about Dune Part 2. We both
Part
saw
2.
it. Yeah, that's the sequel, if you didn't know.
That's right.
That's what Part 2 means.
That's what Part 2 means.
We're going to get into a little bit of Children with Adult Money, a little short segment here. Talk about the Batman hot toy, right? Last, I think, update we gave, he was on his way. Frank's was in Ohio, real close to him. Mine was in California for some reason. So give an update on that. Then we're going to get into a little bit of Goody Room lectures. We're going to talk upcoming movie releases, and this is going to go things that we know like up until the end of August. And it's not going to be everything under the sun. It's going to be things that we've thought were interesting that we want to kind of bring up. A lot of them are sequels or new releases that we think you need to hear our opinions about, because that's why else are you tuning in? The 10 of you that listen, right?
That's right. Maybe 11 by this point. Who knows?
You never know, right?
You never know.
But we are going to start it off here with some need to know news. So, this is going to be a little bit old news, but want to just kind of bring it up. Richard Lewis, he did pass away. If you don't know, he is a prominent character in Curb Your Enthusiasm, but he also is a comedian for a long time. But very sad. I felt a little way because of just Curb Your Enthusiasm, having kind of grown up like watching him. He plays himself in the show, so it's
He's undoubtedly my favorite character in the show. Him and Larry David playing off with each other is always gold. Whenever it's a new scene, you just see Richard Lewis there. It's about to be probably the best scene of the episode. I go back to him at Robin Hood Men in Tights as the king, or the king's nephew, whatever role he played. Just so funny. Rest in peace, Richard Lewis. Thank you for all the laughs. We really appreciate it.
No, we really do, and I've really actually been enjoying his character in this new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. So just like you said, Frank, I think those are some of the best best parts of the show. But yeah, sad news, and you will be missed. Moving on, we're going to go right into streamer Botch, and again, like I hinted earlier, we're going to start Dune Part 2, and Frank, I'm going to let you kind of give your thoughts on it first, because I know you were super excited to see this. I didn't really understand Part 1. I actually needed you to help explain a lot of what was going on.
So Dune was a novel written by Frank Herbert, and I have to tell you, it is probably in my top 5 favorite books of all time, if not my favorite book of all time. And a few years ago, they released Dune Part 1, which was the first half of the book. And up until that point, we really hadn't had a good adaptation of Dune. The one from the 80s is kind of an abomination. It's bad. You don't watch it because you want to watch Dune. You watch it because it's like this really bizarre movie made in the 80s. There was a mini series that was out on Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s. Wasn't awful, wasn't great, wasn't very memorable. So for people like me who had read the book, we kind of deserved a good adaptation. Dune Part 1 came out a few years ago, like I said. Really good. I wouldn't say one of the best movies of all time, but very well done. It showed a lot of promise. It did a lot of great setup. If you're someone like Matt who didn't read the book, it might have been a little confusing. We have another friend who walked out of the theater and said, "Oh, I loved it." And I was like, "Oh, great. What did you love about it?" And he said, "I didn't understand any of it, but I loved it." And it's like, oh, it doesn't make any sense. But finally, we have Part 2, and as Matt was saying, this was probably last year because it got pushed to this year. It was supposed to come out last year. It was one of my most anticipated, hands down for sure. I couldn't wait for this movie. The trailers really just were um, blowing it up to be something great. And I know that I say I try not to watch trailers. I couldn't help it. I watched the Dune 2 trailer probably like once a week for a minute there. And all I have to say is Christopher Nolan and the people from Oppenheimer better be happy that Dune was pushed to this year. That way they did not have to compete with it at the Oscars. Because this movie is everything that they are saying it is and a little bit more. It's awesome. It's so good.
Yeah, so just to kind of feed off of that, for those of you that haven't seen part one, my recommendation is to stream it. It's on a number of streaming services right now. I would definitely put on closed captioning. It helped me follow the story a little bit better the second time I watched it, but it also helped, that Frank did give me a few notes. But I would say in part two, none of that. Right, you get all the backstory, all the information that I felt like you were missing in part one, and I understand why they were doing it. A lot of it are like these big reveals, things that are happening. So there's a lot of setup in part one, and we say this all the time with trilogies, right? We said this even like with Avengers when the first one came out. We didn't really feel like any really type of way. Like there was a lot of promise, but you really need to approach some of these movies, and Dune is one of those where you need to all the parts are one big movie, and you
Right.
can't judge one on its own. But part two, I was actually really impressed. I wasn't going to go see this because of how I felt after part one. It was confusing. I didn't understand it. Am I going to go to the movie and watch something I don't understand? But the hype got me. All right, that giant sandworm just like standing there, like coming at me. There was a meme I sent it to Frank, and as a person, it was a sandworm, and it said like the hype over Dune Part Two, and it was a small little person, and it said me, and that was exactly me, and the hype got me, and I went, and I'm glad I did because I thought it was a pretty good movie. People that are fans, you're definitely going to feel a little bit more praise towards it than I do. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say I didn't, but it's not like one of those like all time great movies for me. But I definitely still enjoy it, and I would recommend you see it as well too.
I would say, as a fan of the books, because I've not only read the first one, I actually just reread the second one this week because I was so excited after seeing. And the second one, the first book is like 900 pages. The second book is only 300. So it's like, for me, it's a super quick read. But I would honestly say that it is the adaptation that Dune and Frank Herbert fans have been waiting for. Like, this is the adaptation we deserve for sure. And without giving anything away, they changed the ending just a tinge, just a taste, just a tinge. Okay. Where, I could read the second book, which I did, but it changes basically everything. And that's fine. Cause like, not that the second book's bad, but the way that they have it set up leading into the next one and how they end it. And yes, they kind of cliffhanger ending you, not as bad as the first one, but it does kind of cut off at a certain point. I honestly think the way that they changed it for this character, I will tell you, was my favorite part of the movie because it was such a surprise for me. I did not expect it to happen, and it was honestly, it just makes me want to see the next part even more just to see how this ramification is going to play out. Like, I want to see the results of it, but just a couple quick thoughts for me. Timothy Chalamet, I thought he was a fine actor. Like, he was Willy Wonka. He was obviously in Dune Part One. I think he really stepped up his game in this one. There were certain scenes where he came in as the Muad'Dib or the Alagasan. I'm really bad at pronouncing the names, and you will be too, so don't judge me. Where he becomes the Messiah and just is like basically taking over. Little scary, but in a good way. Like, good for him. But I think, Matt, you'll agree with this. Javier Bardem, who plays like a mentor character towards him, this guy steals the show. Like, every scene he's in, it's great.
He is. I mean, and I gotta mention the memes are hilarious
Oh,
because
yes.
his character is part of like the very religious part of the Furman, right?
The Fremen.
Yeah, and they believe that he is, this prophet, and so every time he would do something, it didn't matter what it was. It is written, he is the one. Like,
I liked it whenever Paul's character said to Javier Bardem, he goes, "No, I'm not the one. I'm not the guy you believe in." And it cuts to a scene where he goes back to all of his other like firm believers. He's like, "Here's how we know he is the one. He is too humble. He is too humble. He doesn't even know he's the one." And it's like, wait a minute.
he's like, only the one would be as humble as he is.
Only the one would be as humble as he is.
What? Yeah, even the nickname. Oh, he points the way. He is the one. Like, it is written. Like, so the memes are hilarious, guys. So it's literally a picture of like the mentor character, right? And like, everyone's like Paul Atreides, and I did one. I was like Uno. And he goes, "It is written."
I thought we were talking about this before we started hitting recording. The guy that plays basically the big villain in this one, Austin Butler, you probably remember him. He was Elvis a year or two ago. Did a really great job as Elvis, like to the point where he had to go to an acting coach to drop the accent. That's how much into character he got. I was kind of like, oh, I hope Elvis, he's not a one-trick pony, but he plays this villain. Like he does a really great job. And he even gives Dave Bautista the business in certain parts, as Matt was saying. But man, I'm just glad this guy's not a one-trick pony. I'm looking forward to see what he does next, but very pleased with what he did as, I think the character Fade Rotha is his name.
I got chills when he goes, "You fought well, Atreides."
Yeah. Oh, there were so, just like the first movie, I'm glad that Christopher Nolan has popularized the whole, I'm going to make this movie. It's going to be an ensemble cast. You're like this heavy hitter actor, but you're going to play this bit role. You'll only be on screen for like 2 minutes. And, Christopher Nolan didn't direct this. Denis Villeneuve did. And like the first movie and the second movie now, like both have these outstanding casts. Like there is not a bad actor in even the smallest role. And they all just like bring their A game. Except for one. And Matt, I think I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah, you knew where I was going. Like the one critique I have, the problem I had was Christopher Walken plays the Emperor. All right,
Right.
and I just can't take him serious in a movie like this. Like, these Atreides, they're all up in my business. We got to eliminate them. The spice must flow.
Must flow.
It must flow. Yeah, that tone. Yeah, it's all wrong. You do it again, I'm gonna stab you in the face with a soldering iron. Like,
I kept on waiting for him to like drop lines from Batman Returns. He goes, "This energy plant is my legacy that I leave for Chip."
yeah. Like, so that's my one complaint. Maybe like, and he's a good actor, right?
Yeah.
He did fun in the movie, but I've just seen him in too many roles. We talked about it too with Zac Efron, right? It's like you're almost kind of typecasted into these types of characters and roles, but for Christopher Walken, I think it's even worse because it's his like accent, like the way he talks and things like that, and it just triggers other lines in other movies for me, and I can't watch him and stuff like this.
The way I see it is he's just a caricature of himself. Like, you hire Christopher Walken, you're going to get Christopher Walken. And I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I've seen him in so many good movies. Like The Deer Hunter. Oh my gosh. Like I understand why like he became a superstar after that. Anybody that's seen it would know, but Matt and I grew up in a time where we were like high school, college in a time in the mid to late 2000s where all Christopher Walken was doing was like these funny type of roles, or they were kind of goofy. So I understand why they casted him, and I'm not saying he did a bad job, but I just feel like everybody else was firing off on all cylinders, and he's just like, I'm Christopher Walken, I'm here for your movie.
Right. Any final comments on Dune Part 2, Frank?
This is obviously a stream for me. I actually already pre-ordered it, 4K Steelbook. I can't wait. It's going to be proudly displayed on my shelf. Matt?
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's a stream for me. Like I said, you definitely want to watch part one. Again, my tip is watch it with closed captioning. You'll be able to follow a little bit easier, but just keep in mind that it's leading to this bigger story. And I say that for those of you that haven't read the book, like Frank.
One last thing. Like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, I can't wait to watch these movies back to back and just have an all afternoon event. That I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
So as promised, we're gonna give a little update. Children and Adult Money. We are talking the Batman. Guess what, guys? He's here.
He's
He's here.
here.
I'm loving him. I post him. He's sitting up above my desk right here. I'm going to save you the time of me having on camera the entire time. I think, thrown him up. He was on our Instagram. By the way, if you're not following us on Instagram, go check it out. You might catch, a few sneak peeks of, the next episode. Or, some of our goodies might be posted on there, right? Like the Batman was posted on there as soon as we got him. Frank's
Right.
new display. That looks awesome, by the way. Posted
Thank
up on
you.
Instagram.
Well, in that display case, that's where it's out here in the other room, and I can't bring it in here. Obviously, it's too big. But yes, we did post about it. That's where my Batman hot toy is, next to the Dark Knight one. Matt, I appreciate the kind words, but Matt, I also appreciate you helping me with the layout on what each section was, how to go about it, how to properly display certain items without it. It looks good, but it wouldn't look as good without you pointing me in the right direction. So thank you. Happy to.
It is written. It is written.
As it is written.
I point the way, Frank. That's
he's my personal Muad'Dib over there. In fact, you shouldn't. Next time we log in, don't put the nachos. Put Muad'Dib. Muad'Dib, and I'll be Uso.
wise. Yeah. Muad'Dib is wise. No.
Yes. But we finally got the Batman, and here's a fun fact. So, like we've been telling you, he comes with all these goodies, okay? All these goodies, except one. And it's the difference between getting the regular edition and the deluxe edition, which I'm not saying I needed it, but I think, Matt, you agreed. It was an odd choice. Like, this one we're saving just for the deluxe edition.
So it's, what was it? The sticky bomb gun is what it was.
Sticky bomb gun.
And Frank, he's texting me. He goes, I didn't get a sticky bomb gun. Here's me not even realizing what accessories it all comes with. Like I just wanted to figure. And so he emails Sideslow Collectibles and they tell him that it only comes in the deluxe version. And so he texts me, he goes, knowing that mine's coming the next day, hey, let me know if yours comes with a sticky bomb gun. So I immediately just go on the website after he texts me, and it's very clearly listed out that it does not come with the regular version.
But the thing about it is,
it's odd. It's an odd choice like that. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And on the box that we got, it shows him with it, holding it. He's holding it, pointing it. And he comes with the holster. So now, like, we're displaying our Batman with an empty holster. It's like, what is going on here? Like, why was the sticky bomb gun so special that you're like, it only comes in the deluxe?
Yeah, that is a good point, because all the other holsters on him, there was a weapon that you put inside each of them. So now there's only one that doesn't have a weapon.
And I could easily get on eBay and buy someone's, just the accessory alone, or have someone 3D print one, get the specifications. But I don't care enough to go through with it to get it. What I care about is just like, I want to know what I wanted to be a fly on the wall in a room where that decision was made, just to hear the logic, or that's what I care about. Like, I just want to know how this decision was made.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Any final comments on the Batman?
It's as good as we thought he was going to be. I'm happy to have him. The hot toys are a bit pricey, so I wouldn't be like a streamer Botch where I'd either get it or don't get it. Do your own research. The one guy the videos he does the reviews, he's always saying, like, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before, or you can, like, don't just blindly spend. So I know one of our listeners was asking me about Hot Toys. There's a few characters that he likes, and I told him it's like, hey, if you think that you can go through with it, and I do a payment plan where, when I order them, I just do a payment plan. So that's an easy way to do it. Or if you're, you got a bunch of disposable income that you can just throw to the wind, just buy it all at once and show everybody who's boss, I guess. But, you know, I'm happy with it. It's definitely a niche collector's item. I wouldn't say they're for everyone, but I'm happy that we have them.
Yeah, me too. They're called fun coupons, by the way. I
Oh,
don't
fun.
have
You
any.
don't have any? Well, no. All my fun coupons went to the Batman, and apparently was not enough because no sticky bomb gun.
Limited fun coupons.
That's right.
Next segment here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into our lecture for today's episode, which is going to be upcoming movie releases. And this first one, I've seen the trailer before, but I got the trailer when I did go to see Dune Part 2 as well. And that is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which comes out, I believe it's March 22nd. And I got to say, I texted Frank and I was like, am I hyping myself too much on this movie? Because it looks good.
Yeah. The last one, I think it was called Afterlife, where it was Egon's granddaughter and her, Egon's children basically taking over. I thought that one was really great. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Ghostbusters movie, but as a follow-up to Ghostbusters 2 that continued the original timeline, I thought it was a great movie. It was fun. You tear up a little bit at the end, but I just thought it was a really good time. And I remember walking out of there thinking, like, I'd like to see these characters again. So I don't know if I'll make it out to the theater, pardon me, to see this one, but I am going to watch it eventually for sure. How
Yeah,
about you?
me as well. So yeah, I would definitely. This is on my list. I don't know. Again, maybe I'll have time to hit the theater. You know me, Frank. For those listening, I'm usually like a last minute person with like theater movie, viewing. So maybe I'll make it up, but it's definitely something I want to see in the future.
Is that the March Madness weekend?
Ooh,
I'm just throwing it out there.
sold.
All right. Add it to the list. We're going. If there's time.
If there's time.
If there's time.
Next one, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, scheduled for April 12th. So, Frank, I put this on here because I thought maybe you would have some thoughts on it.
I do.
It's a skip for me.
Yeah. So I was really excited about this one because I did enjoy the first Godzilla versus Kong. I thought it's not going to win any Oscars, but for sure, definitely a good watch. Like I watched it with my wife, and then I visited my dad. Him and I watched together. It's just a good movie to watch with someone, and just laugh and be like, oh, that was awesome. See the fights and everything. And I was excited about this new one, but then I saw a little movie called Godzilla -1, and I saw like just how serious and good a Godzilla movie can be, which is polar opposite in quality. I mean, they're two different types of movies, obviously, this and Godzilla versus Kong, but now that I've seen like the ultra serious Godzilla, I prefer the ultra serious Godzilla and not the fun punch in the face Godzilla, so to speak. But I'm not saying I won't see it, but I'm not going to rush out to theaters to see this one.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting to see Godzilla -1. So hopefully that comes out soon.
Right, I've been waiting. I check every week, like when's it coming out, and they're like, nope, deal with it. And it's like, all right, I guess I'll deal with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, next one. I did get this trailer as well in Dune Part 2, but Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and I was just like, why? Why do we need this movie?
I'm sure there's people that watched Fury Road and were just like, I love Furiosa as a character, and she's a good character, and I'm sure if you like her character, you're probably very excited. I have a very nitpicky hang-up about this movie, why I just don't think it's going to be good at all. When Peter Jackson did The Lord of the Rings, Matt, he went out to the wilderness in New Zealand and just filmed it, right? Like the only CGI in that movie or sets were very few and far between. But when he came back and did The Hobbit, it was pretty much all in the studio and it looked really, really fake in comparison. Mad Max Fury Road, they went out to the desert and filmed it. And there was a lot of production issues. I get it. But you won 6 or 7 Oscars, so it paid off. And it was like a unanimously loved movie, pretty much. With this one, it looks like they took the Hobbit route and they filmed it inside. It just looks fake and cartoonish, and I just pass. I won't see this one.
Yeah, I won't be, going shiny, chrome, and new, hoping I get into Valhalla for this one.
Right. In fact, I would rather watch literally any of the old, Mad Max and say bye to this new one.
Thunderdome.
That's right.
All right. Next one here. I got this trailer as well too. I got all the good trailers.
I only got some of these. The Furiosa and this one I did get. So yeah, go ahead, Matt. You tell us about this one.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes coming out in May. Prime release time for all the great movies, right? I am psyched. If you haven't seen the other Planet of the Apes movies, you need to watch them. So I am super pumped for this one. This is definitely on my watch list.
This will be, and I will see this one on IMAX, hands down. I cannot wait for this movie. I've been a fan of the Planet of the Apes movies ever since I was a little kid. I even will watch the Mark Wahlberg one, but the last 3 where it was like Rise, War, and Dawn. I think I got the order mixed up, but that is one of the best trilogies that has come out in the last like 20 years. And if you haven't watched it, watch those movies. They're amazing.
Yeah, and to give you like perspective, like so all those movies is how like the apes became what they became and how humans basically became their slaves. And that's like the start of it. This one is like now they're hunting humans, right? So that apes can truly rule the planet.
This takes place after the last trilogy. I think I read like 400 to 500 years later. So there's a bit of a time jump, which is good. Like, and I'm hoping that should this one be successful, we'll get another one, but then they ended on the third one because in the very first reboot, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, they did like a new segment where they showed the astronauts going up into space. Hopefully they circle back to that and they come back and they're like, what happened? Like the original Planet of the Apes. That's my hope, but I doubt they'll get to it in this movie. I don't want them to get to it in this movie. I'm just happy. Like anytime there's a Planet of the Apes movie, I get super excited because it's just it's going to be quality sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. And the story and the writing on these have been phenomenal. So that also gets me excited to see one of these again.
Absolutely.
All right, next up we got Garfield coming out on May 24th. I don't get it. We've been down the Garfield route before. I don't even know if people know who Garfield is anymore.
I'm sure the only thing I can imagine is they're trying to play on nostalgia, like, people our age taking their kids or grandparents, taking their grandchildren to it. I think that's the audience they're looking for, but also it's just like, must we,
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll take the kids. Mia actually, my daughter has been watching the old Garfield, movies. So
good.
This might be one she's interested in. But I definitely want to get to this next one because, Frank, I really want to know your thoughts. The Crow.
So one of my biggest guilty pleasures of all time is the 1994 or 1995 Brandon Lee's The Crow. I love this movie. It's coming out on 4K for its 30th anniversary, and I pre-ordered it. I can't wait to watch it. One of the things that makes the movie for me is the soundtrack. I could probably do a whole episode alone on the original version of The Crow. I love The Crow. It's great. The Crow had multiple sequels back in the day, all went direct to DVD or direct to video, which there's your sign right there. I watched one of them. It was fine, but like you're just not going to hit that original. So for the last, I think, 10 years, this movie is kind of like The Flash, Matt. Been in development hell. There's been like 8 different directors. I think everybody and their mother has signed on to play the Crow. Bradley Cooper was supposed to be the Crow at one point. So the fact that this is finally coming out is, kind of a miracle in itself. And, I jumped online, I think this was a week or two ago, and it was like, hey, first image of Bill Skarsgård as the Crow is out, and this idiot looks like Post Malone. I'm sorry, that's what he looks like. And it's tough to judge a movie without really seeing the trailer or seeing the movie itself, but it is March. We're inching towards mid-March here, and we're yet to see a trailer for this thing. Not a good sign for a movie releasing in June. For instance, Planet of the Apes comes out the last weekend in May. We were getting teasers for this movie last year at this time.
Yeah, but that goes to show you, though, how much money was invested and what the studio thinks of it too, right?
Right.
Right. So they usually will, like Frank said, they'll usually hold off showing trailers and teasers and things like that because they know it's not going to be a good movie, right? So they keep the mystery of it kind of going and force you to go to the theater to see it.
Right. That it's like a ploy, and I'm not saying I won't see it, but listen, I love the original movie. I just love it. Again, it's a guilty pleasure. It was one of those movies, Matt, that it would be on late at night, and I'd be up in my room when I was, as a grade or a middle schooler, high schooler, and I would hope to God like my parents didn't open up the door because I thought they were going to be like, "What are you doing in here?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you were really in there watching Never Ending Story. Story.
No, oh God, don't get. I wasn't watching that because it would have given me nightmares, and if it was late at night, that was the last thing I'd be watching, and you know this.
Yeah, I do know this because I would have had the same nightmares.
Right. But I have such nostalgia for the original. Like, I don't know. It feels wrong going to see this one or even giving this one the time of day, specifically if he looks like Post Malone.
Yeah, if it's on a streaming service, maybe I'll check it out, but I'm not going to the theater to see this.
I think I'm going to let you watch it, and then you tell me. Kind of like with Aquaman 2 last week, you're like, it's really bad.
Yeah, spoiler for any streamer Botch coming up, but yeah, I've been watching actually all the superhero movies because Frank refuses, I just can't help it, right? Like I'm always looking for new stuff, and so yeah, just spoiler for next streamer Botch, Aquaman 2, just skip.
Well, I got to tell you, Dune Part 2, if I was thinking of watching superhero movies again, Dune Part 2 has pushed me even further away from superhero movies. So I'll leave it at that.
There you go. Well, hey, June 7th again, Bad Boys 4. Why?
Why?
Three, I get it, the nostalgia, you want to pull people back in that were fans. Okay, you did it. I don't need a fourth, guys. 3 wasn't that good to deserve a fourth.
The reason why 3 got made is it has been touted, or whatever the phrase is, as one of the highest grossing movies of 2020. Meaning it came out in January of 2020, and it was one of 2 movies that came out that year before the world shut down. So of course it made a lot of, I'm saying, of course it made a lot of money, and I'm doing air quotes with a lot of money. I don't know how much it made, but I doubt it was enough for them to be truly feel good about doing this 4th movie. I'm actually shocked. The studio is, backing Will Smith still. Anybody that thinks the slap was fake, it wasn't, because look what it did to his career. Where's he been?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think I'm going to the theater to see this. I mean, if it comes out on streaming, I might put it on just to give it a watch. But a lot of these movies I put on just to give a watch. I'm usually on my phone, glancing at the TV while it's on. So
I haven't even seen the 3rd one. And before we started recording, you had said it's not very good. So I guess I won't be seeing 3 or 4.
I mean, it's like a lot of those movies. They're nostalgia plays, right? Like you wanna get people back in who were fans of the original movies, right? But they're never really the same as what those ones were. Like there's I a lot of times I feel like there is a time period. Some movies are exceptions to that,
Right.
but Bad Boys was is one of those. Like too much time had gone by, and I just don't think it was all that good. But anyways, I'm not going to the theater for that.
No.
I want to put this one on here. Inside Out 2 coming out on June 14th. I have actually seen the original Inside Out. It's a fun movie for kids. I think it talks about a lot of emotional things that kids might go through, especially growing up. I'm probably going to take my kids to go see this because I actually like the first movie, and I am interested to see this second one as well too.
My son won't be, he's just not there yet to go to the theater to see this. I would there I can't tell you how many movies have come out that we've watched that I've been like, "Oh, I can't wait to take Leo or my son to see movies like this." And this would be one of them. Like the first one, thought it was a really good story. Really, really gut punching scene with the imaginary friend. What was his name? Ting Tong or something like that. Um,
I can't remember. It's been a while.
right. But I know once this hits Disney Plus, I will put it on and watch it with my son for sure.
Next up, we have A Quiet Place Day One. So this is a prequel. I actually have not seen A Quiet Place. It's been on my to watch list for a long time. I could just never bring myself to put it on. I know there's a sequel as well too, but I know this is one people are hyped up about.
I know, I'm actually very pleased that these movies have spawned a franchise, and not only did we get a second one, but we're now getting a prequel. I have not seen the second one, and here's why. I just thought the ending of one was such a good ending. To me, there's no need for more. However, I do know clearly there's an audience for these, and both the first one was amazing. I would absolutely stream that one for sure. I can't speak on the second one, but I know that it got similar reviews. So if it's anything like one, I'm sure it's good. I personally just don't feel the need to continue the story, nor do I really need to see this is day one. This is how the aliens arrive. Like, I don't, if I'm going to watch a Society is Falling movie, I will go watch an old reliable one that I already own. But like you said, Matt, there is a lot of hype. People love these movies. And I bet you will probably get at least 5 or 6 of these by the time it's done.
Yeah, no doubt. Next one on the list here is Despicable Me 4 coming out on July 3rd. So another one I'll probably take my kids to, but I think let's call it a day on the Despicable Me franchise. Kind of like the Kung Fu Panda franchise. I saw there's another Kung Fu Panda. Like how many Kung Fu Pandas, Despicable Me's do we need?
Right. The last one that I sat and fully watched was like the Minions prequel, and then the second Minions movie came out. You were really excited about it. You really liked it.
I
Didn't you go
liked
to?
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we saw it.
I made it through the credits, and then I was like, I've seen all I need to see, and I don't know. I think Despicable Me 1 through 3 and the first Minions are good movies. A lot of people like the second Minions movie, Matt included. I've just seen enough. I just like I can only see a minion say banana so many times.
No, I understand. There's a certain point where I think you have to call it a day on some of this IP, but that's studios when they run out of ideas, they're just going to go back to the vault for some of these things. They're going to keep running them in the ground.
Right.
I'm talking to you, Dom Toretto. Well, you're Fast and the Furious. Okay, you don't need to be going to space. Okay, you're not a superhero. It's about car racing. Okay, it's not about being a superhero in a car.
It was about car racing. That was like the car racing was like 5 movies ago.
It was one movie, and then it became other stuff.
I don't know. No, I think one Fast and Furious 1 through 3, all about street racing. Even the fourth one a little bit. But the fourth one was when they transitioned. They're like, we're gonna do a little bit more now.
Yeah,
Buckle
but
up.
Despicable Me 4, I'm most likely going to take my kids because I like these movies. But
It's funny that though you talk about Despicable Me 4 and Fast and Furious because it's the same studio.
I know. Next up, we got Twisters coming out on July 19th. This is a remake. You know what you're getting with this, right? I'm most likely going to go see this. My wife actually really likes the original movie because she's just really fascinated by weather, especially tornadoes. So it's always a pleasure when she comes to the theater because she usually doesn't do that. So I'll definitely be seeing this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present my most anticipated movie of the summer, Twisters. I can't wait. Oh, it's gonna be so bad. It's good. The first one, it came out when we were kids. Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt. It is such a bizarre, like off the wall concept. It's like we're tornado chasers, and I know there's people like that out there, but just the whole plot of the movie with they're trying to like see inside of it and get the weather device up in there. I find that a little there's quite there it's a movie from the 90s, so there's quite a few leaps in logic for me, but that's part of the fun. And judging by the trailer, this is going to be like much of the same, and I'm here for it. They even got uh Hangman from
Hangman from Maverick. Yeah.
they got Hangman from Top Gun, and yet again he's got that smile that when you see it you're just like, what dumpster did they scrape you out of? You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a little sinister,
Yeah.
that smile. But yeah, next up, Deadpool 3. I mean, I'm gonna see it, but after two, I don't have high hopes.
This is one that I'm going to let Matt see, and then Matt will tell me about it.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave that at that.
Right.
And then last and probably least,
It is well. Here, let's for a moment. Let's observe. It's coming out August 30th, which is for the summer movie season. That is the kiss of death. The studio has no hope for this movie. When they put it all the way at the tail end of the summer, when people are going back to school, people are going back to work, or people, vacations are over, and they're putting it there because all the other movies by that point will have come out and it has nothing to compete against. So they're just like hoping like maybe a couple people will go see this movie. Who knows?
yeah. So it's Craven the Hunter, and just texting Frank the other day, like, how do I get Sony to stop ruining Spider-Man intellectual property? Because Madam Web just came out, no interest, right? I've seen the trailers. They completely, I think, just destroyed whatever that could have been. Uh, Morbius, watched it when it came out to streaming. I actually really wanted to see it in theaters. Glad I didn't. Awful, right?
Awful.
I don't know what they were thinking with that.
I tell you
And
who likes Morbius though is the notorious Mandy Monson, the notorious Eminem. He loves that movie, but this is why he's wrong.
no, 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 no. Yeah, there's no liking that movie,
No,
right? The only one that they did semi okay with was the first Venom, right? And it wasn't the greatest movie ever, but it was like there were parts of it that were really enjoyable. That like I even find myself like watching it again and again, right? But the second one with Carnage, I was like, yeah, this is why this is not that good. And I think they're coming out with a third one,
they
and I
are. And I'm just, to me, and I agree with Matt, everything he said. I thought the second Carnage was fine. Like I wouldn't tell you to drop everything and go watch it. I'm a fan of the characters, so like I thought it was fine. But the fact, like if even for me, like someone who loves like Carnage and Venom, the writing's on the wall. There's only so many stories you can tell with just Venom without Spider-Man, and they're doing a Venom 3, and it's like, what more are you going to do other than what you've already done?
yeah, and Sony they just haven't been successful with this stuff, right? Like in a long, long time, and it's really taken Marvel coming in with Spider-Man to really like revive that whole franchise, and they've done an awesome job. And to me, Sony is just killing whatever IP is left.
What, if I may? can I offer of what they should have done?
Sure.
Okay, so Craven the Hunter is a Spider-Man villain, and there's an amazing short, like one-off graphic novel, or not a one-off. There's probably comic book fans, if they listen to this, they're going to be throwing chairs against the wall. But I had the graphic novel. It's called Craven's Last Hunt, and it's about Spider-Man and Craven, and the story is just like really dark and gritty. What they should have done was call up Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire and done a movie like Fox did Logan, like the last Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like, this is it. Hey, it ties in with the other ones, but it could exist on its own. Yeah, you bring Tobey back for a dark and gritty take on Spider-Man, and you do Craven's Last Hunt. Would have been as good as Logan? Probably not. But would it have been better from what I've seen the trailers from this movie? No question. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so I ain't going to the theater to see this. I might watch it if it comes out on streaming, but again, it's going to be one of those things that's just kind of on in the background, and I'm like semi-watching.
So I know this wasn't on our list, but I did watch a trailer today for a movie that is coming out in July, and it is not a sequel. It's not a remake. It's not an IP. There's a studio out there, ladies and gentlemen, called A24. They're the ones that released Everything Everywhere All at Once. They did Midsommar. They did, they do a lot of just like art house movies.
Yeah, and a lot of them are actually really good. And there's a deal. What is it with HBO?
Yep.
Where they'll stream them on there. So
Yeah. The Iron Claw was another A24 one. They're not always like, not every one of them are for me, but I know watching the ones that I don't like, I can't help but think like there is someone out there that is probably thinking like this is the greatest thing of all time. They released a trailer for a movie today called Sing Sing, which is coming out in July, and it takes place in a prison, and it's about a rehabilitation program that's going on in a prison where these inmates, like a drama teacher comes in and teaching the inmates how to act and just kind of escape mentally their environment, what they're in, and kind of come to terms with what they did through the art of theater. And honestly, that looks really good. And, I have a bit of a theater background myself. So that one absolutely grabbed my attention. I hope it does well, but it looks like it's going to be Oscar worthy material judging by the trailer. And I'm hoping that it's as good as the trailer is leading me on to believe.
nice. Yeah, that sounds like a promising movie. But any final comments? Any other items, Frank, you want to bring up?
Go see Dune.
See, Dune. It is written.
It is written. Go see Dune. I can't. I could probably do a whole episode on Dune 1 and 2.
Nobody wants to hear that.
I tell you what though, had you like in a different world where you were still confused by the first movie, you'd be like, I don't want to listen to that, but you'd secretly be listening to it and be like, explain it to me. I don't understand. Frank, what does the Mahdi mean?
No, I'm wise. I point the way. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us today. Hey, like, comment, subscribe, guys. It helps us out. We're putting on a lot of the content here. It's entertaining for us. We hope you find it helpful as well. If you have suggestions for the show or things you want to hear our opinions on, let us know. But hey, we'll catch you in the next one. Same streaming time, same streaming platform. Later, everybody.